U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping held a bilateral meeting for about an hour and 40 minutes longer than scheduled. Now, the talks in the southern port city of Busan, their first face-to-face meeting since 2019, marks the finale of Trump's whirlwind trip around Asia, in which he has touted several trade breakthroughs with South Korea, Japan and Southeast Asian nations. The two leaders, however, made no comments after the meeting. Earlier, as they arrived for the high-stakes meeting, both the leaders shook hands, with Trump expressing optimism of signing a trade deal. And then, as they sat down with their delegations at talks, Xi told Trump via translator it was normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then.
Yes, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our two economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries.
Well, the trade war reignited this month after Beijing proposed dramatically expanding curbs on exports of rare earth minerals vital for high-tech applications, a sector China dominates. Now, Trump vowed to retaliate with additional 100% tariffs on Chinese exports and with other steps, including potential curbs on exports to China made with U.S. software, moves that could have upended the global economy. But while meeting Xi, Trump said he will have a fantastic relationship for a long time.
It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Well, Xi also said U.S.-China should be partners and friends.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other, and it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again.
Well, on conflicts around the world, Xi said China and U.S. must jointly shoulder responsibility as great powers.
Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China has been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes. And we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and U.S. can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world.
And for more, I have my colleague Amritpal Singh joining us on the phone line. Well, Amrit, as the meeting concludes and there was no statement from either side later, what's the overall takeaway? Are we looking at a genuine thaw between Washington and Beijing or just diplomatic optics?
No, I think substantial talks would have happened because the meeting lasted for 1 hour 40 minutes. If it were just optics, or if it wouldn't have gone forward, the meeting wouldn't have lasted long. And if you look at the composition of the meeting, the U.S. Treasury Secretary accompanies him, Mark Rubio accompanies Donald Trump, his Secretary of State, then the Treasury Secretary is there, Scott Bessent, the trade representative, James Griever is there. So I think, and similar high-ranking officials from the Chinese side. So I think, the very fact that the delegation-level talks went on for so long and there was a resolve in both sides making the right noises before the meeting, though they did not issue a statement, there would have been points of friction, as President Xi said, that it's normal to have a friction between the two sides. But, Donald Trump making the right noises, calling it the G2 meeting, saying that basically acknowledging that the Americans and the Chinese are the two greatest economies of the world. So I think despite the points of, the differences, there would have the two sides have kind of come to realize that they have to work on convergences. Now, whether an agreement was achieved at this stage is difficult to say before both sides put out what really transpired there. But I'm sure substantial talks on trade, geopolitics, especially Taiwan, etc., would have taken place. Dipakshi?
Yeah, also Amrit, both leaders had emphasized partnership and friendship in the beginning. From what you're picking up, is there any substance behind that tone, any signs of concrete agreements or next steps?
That's what I'm saying. Unless both sides put out statements, it's difficult to, say whether agreements were reached. But I think they would have committed a broad...
Because Amrit, Trump has also said that a lot of decisions have been made.
That's right. As in, they would have, because despite, the two leaders meeting after 6 years, at the diplomatic level, at the official level, exchanges do take place. Though, Donald Trump is given to hyperbole, but the Chinese have made no such statements. The Chinese still maintain their stance that if Donald Trump, threatens to impose the kind of tariffs he's threatened to, then be it so. And I think Donald Trump also now realizes that given the fact that how entrenched China is into global supply chains, it's difficult to browbeat China or arm twist China into submission, as he has been, able to get his way with other parts of the world. So I think both sides would have exchanged that. Now, whether nitty-gritties have been worked out or teams would be formulated, but yes, broad resolve to take it forward and de-escalate tensions would have happened, and specific areas would have come up with discussion. Now, what agreements on that, what concessions the Chinese would want to give, how much the Americans are willing to bend and all that I think sub-teams would look at. But again, all that is subject to what is, once the two sides put out their statements on what exactly transpired. Dipakshi?
All right. So, of course, President Trump is also saying that he'll be providing conclusions on very important things soon. Amrit, you stay with us. Meanwhile, let's tell our viewers that a major diplomatic moment has happened in Busan. Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Donald Trump have met each other. The meeting has now concluded. They met face to face for the first time in 6 years. And both the leaders struck a conciliatory tone, calling for partnership and friendship. And joining us now for more is Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj, School of International Studies, JNU, to help us break down the significance of this high-stakes encounter. So thank you for joining us, Professor Sanjay. My first question to you, this was the first meeting between President Xi and Trump in 6 years. Both the leaders struck a conciliatory tone, calling for partnership and friendship, a sharp contrast to years of friction over trade, technology and global influence. What does this meeting really mean for the future of US-China relations?
I think this is very, very important, very significant, keeping the volatile world scenario that is happening all parts of the world. But very interesting point is that both Xi Jinping and Trump, they had been moreover deal makers, while Xi Jinping under its Belt and Road initiatives had been dealing with the different parts of the world in South Asia, Africa, Middle East, Europe, everywhere. And that Trump under a new tariff regime that he's trying and having deals with the different parts of the world. And Trump, he tried to negotiate bilaterally, as Xi Jinping also tried to negotiate bilaterally in BRI projects. And they are also looking that there should not be unity in the rest. The Trump's policies that there should not be unity in the rest means that anti-West forces. And I think in that process, he is now looking and moving towards a structural way of towards the structural way of bipolarity. In fact, Chinese, they have emerged as a global power and economically, and they are trying to challenge the preeminence of the Americans that they have. So America is now reasserting its position and not want to give much space to the Chinese. There are significant examples where Chinese, they wanted to negotiate at number of conflicts, like in Rohingya refugee, they have offered one formula. Then they also tried to deal with Saudi Arabia and Iran in the Middle East. Now Americans, since they sense that they are losing their positions and as a peacemaker or having preeminence in the rest. So now Trump, he is coming as a peacemaker. He has come out with the Israel and Gaza, the 20 points formula, though it's not much functional. In Ukraine and Russia, both Xi Jinping, he had been trying, they are offering that we can negotiate. Now Trump is intensely working to have a deal between Ukraine and Russia. So in totality, you can see that there is a new Cold War, but in the more structural way is moving in the near future. If you will see that there are deep divergence of interest between China and the Americans, particularly on the issue of nuclear, where Trump is looking to disarmament and denuclearizations, but the Chinese, they have revised their nuclear policy. They are looking forward to have 900 and 1,000 nuclear bombs. So Trump is eyeing on that nuclear programs. Of course, the trade is very critical, very serious issues, and that has basically bipolarized the world between the West and the rest. But he has found that rest is not united on the issue of Trump on the trade, and so he is bilaterally negotiating. The third very important issue, again, the rest is united, is the climate change and climate justice, where China and India, they are coming together. So these are the three crucial issues. But other than these three crucial issues, how the Americans will cope with the issue of democracy, where they who are looking forward to have a democratic institutions and regimes, liberal democratic regimes globally, including China and the other parts. The other is the issue of human rights, and they have been pointed out a number of human rights violence in China, and are they accepting that whatever that internal developments are taking place in China, the Americans are okay with that. The third is, of course, the Taiwan issue, and the fourth is Tibet issues. Are these issues will not much relevant for the Americans? These are the diversion of issues, but I think Trump is now in the process of making its policy that making America great again. He is now in reconciliation mood, because there is complex interdependencies between China and the Americans, and the Americans are not getting much on the issue of economic and trade. So they are now basically trying to patch with the Xi Jinping that let's make America great again, and then we will deal with the Chinese, and because the Chinese now they have developed a no limit partnership with the Russians. So the Americans, they are very apprehensive. They are looking very carefully the developments taking place in that non-Western blocs, and we have also seen that this happens in case of SCO summit in China, that all the non-West countries, they have come together. So the American, now Trump, they are looking forward to engaging with the Chinese, so that the lead should not go in the hands of China, and the new Cold War should not be unstructured. So he's trying to look the new world order more into the structural way, and that's why he's coming out as no more deal maker. He's just trying to project himself as a peacemaker.
All right, so new world order in a more structured way. Amrit, I want to ask you that Trump has said that the meeting was amazing, that both the countries will have wonderful relations for a long time. Earlier also, both the leaders emphasized partnership and friendship. What do we make out of this? What does this renewed dialogue tell us about where the US-China relations are now headed?
Donald Trump is given to hyperbole. Let's first, accept that. He makes these kind of statements, then whether that's indicative of the progress in the talks, one can't say unless both sides put out statements, as I said. But the very fact that the meeting lasts 1 hour, 40 minutes, the participants in the meeting, which I listed out, gives an indication that, yes, trade was a key issue there, and what it indicates at best is that Donald Trump, as Professor Bhardwaj was saying, is trying to be in a conciliatory mood, or in a conciliatory approach. Whether actual progress takes place, because he held a similar meeting with President Putin in Alaska, if you remember, trying to mend the US-Russia relationship. But we did not see much outcome of it, because the Russians obviously stood their ground. The Chinese are also in a very strong position to stand their ground. He hasn't been able to, arm twist them into complete submission, given the fact how entrenched they are in the economic order. And as Professor Bhardwaj said, that the non-Western bloc, if it gets together and asserts its economic might, then the United States and President Trump specifically realizes that it has limited leverage. So that is what would have been weighing upon Donald Trump when he makes these kind of statements. But on actual progress, whether they were able to resolve this escalation in the tariff war remains to be seen, because China would have asserted to protect its interests. Now, it depends on how much is Trump willing to concede on actual grounds. And as far as, the other issues of geopolitics like Taiwan, etc., or China's assertion in the South China Sea, etc., I think Donald Trump would be ready to put them on the back burner for the moment, and move forward and see if some kind of an arrangement can be brought about on the issue of trade. Lipakshi.
All right. Thank you so much, Amrit, for all those details. and analysis. And Professor Bharadwaj, I also want to ask you that both leaders spoke very warmly this morning, calling each other partners and friends. Do you see this as a genuine goodwill or more of a diplomatic performance? Like President Xi said, it's natural to have friction, but stress that ties must stay on the right course. How should we read that line? Trump also said that he'll be going to China soon.
No, very good question in a way, because if they have engaged themselves 100 minutes, then it's not just I was. I think there is a positive signals that they are looking to have amicably to resolve all the issues amicably, and that because the world is confronting. There is emerging number of emerging fault lines in the world, in Middle East, in Eurasia, in Southeast Asia, Cambodia and Thailand. We have seen all that, but still I'm wondering that how. And I think this is one thing that the Americans, it has provided a positive rationals to think about the rest, the non-West, and because Americans, they have thought that again, if they will be the non-West will be united, then this would add in the declining of Americans, as they have been declining for decades and more in the last few years. But again, I would look forward that how they are looking and engaging or dealing with the Chinese expansionist approach in South China Sea, in the other bordering areas in Southeast Asia, how they are looking the Chinese revisionist approach in a way of India-China border conflicts and the other parts, and they are also looking engaging the world through the Belt and Road initiatives. So these are two very important policies of Chinese are making uncomfortable to the Americans. One way they were trying to create an alternative discourse or alternative ways to deal with the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, and these approach like engaging India and having IMEC and developing Indo-Pacific strategy. And this in this Indo-Pacific strategy, they are looking forward to have engaging Southeast Asian countries because the Americans, they were looking that the Southeast Asia is the central point of the Indo-Pacific strategy. So they were engaging Japan, Australia, India, and Americans, and trying to bring all these small states into this Indo-Pacific strategy. They were also looking forward to have to counter and contain Chinese militarily by developing and concluding AUKUS, that Australia, UK, and Americans military institutions in this way. Because the Americans, they understand that the Chinese will make an ace in South China, Indian Ocean, and Arabian Sea, then the Americans' presence and dominance in this region is over. And I think the Trump, he's making very carefully the both way, engaging with China and the other part of the world, but he's also reasserting its position. Like in South Asia, I can give the example. They are looking to regain the Bagram, that air base in Afghanistan. They want Pasni in Pakistan. They are looking St. Martin in Bangladesh. So they are trying to have their preeminence position in the Indian Ocean, and they are just trying to minimize the Chinese presence in this region, engaging with the other part of the world. But other way, it's very good signal that he's also engaging with China and the other part of the world, because the way the developments are taking place in Eurasia between Ukraine and Russia, and where the Ukraine is trying to engage the NATO, all European countries against Russia. So he's also trying to avoid the emerging scenario for the Third World War. And because the Americans, they are now they are gaining from everywhere. They are gaining by the arms sale to the European countries, to NATO countries. They're also creating an energy market in Eurasia and European countries, because the energy supply from Russia has declined to the European countries. And they are also trying to use the carrot and stick policy in case of India and China, that you will not import oil from Russia. So if you will import, then we will impose 25% or keep at 50% tariff on India and kind of thing. So Americans, they are basically very carefully moving ahead to engage with the non-Western world, and this is one of the significant steps that Trump has taken while he's making sideline in the Asia-Pacific summit in South Korea.
Yes. All right. As you mentioned, Professor Bharadwaj, that Trump is treading very carefully, engaging with the non-Western world. Actually, the meeting comes as the trade tensions at this time continue. Do you think this signals any chance of easing the tariffs or restarting the trade talks, given that Beijing holds a near monopoly on rare earth materials? But how much leverage does that give to China itself?
I clearly told that the Americans, they are have the policy of carrot and stick. They are trying to definitely they will relax, and they will like South Korea, what they have done. They will reduce, or they will relax in the tariff, but they are asking that the South Korea will invest $350 billion in Americans. The same way they are also looking, because I told very well there is complex interdependencies or high interdependencies on Chinese supply chain and Chinese manufacturing sectors. So the Americans, they cannot avoid right now, and they have to come with the terms with the Chinese, as they are also trying, and hardly they are working with India also, because they don't want to lose India as a strategic partner in Asia, and they are trying to make it. But there are again they are using the stick and carrot policy. That one side they want to give you relaxations on the tariff, but other sides they are trying to engage you, and they are trying to come out with the coercive diplomatic measures to engage you, or to come with the terms with the Trump. So this policies they are working with in China also, and I'm sure that with China, because they want to sustain their economy. You know that how much trade between China and India is China and America is there, where the Americans, they have trade deficits. They have trade deficit with India also, but and so they don't want to lose this huge supply chain and manufacturing sector that had happened in China after the globalizations, when the globalization process was taking place. Now the Americans, they want to make America as manufacturing hub. They are creating alternative supply chain by creating different corridors, as I earlier mentioned about IMEC is one of that corridors that they want to connect with the European countries. So I think they are that's why they are dealing and they are negotiating with the Chinese. They are meeting with Xi Jinping, and the very interesting point that both the countries, while the Trump is willing to visit Beijing in next year January,
yes.
And Xi Jinping is also agreed that they will also travel to America in the later 2026. So I think these, and there should be, I think, because there are pressing issues of climate change, trade, there are pressing issues of the emerging conflicts in different parts of the world. I think that emerging powers and the responsible powers, if they are engaging and they are having dialogues and discussions, they can there could be some success of having peaceful deals. As Americans, they used trade or tariff in case of Cambodia and Thailand. So they are also trying to use these measures to other parts of the world, including Russia.
All right.
They are putting some sanctions and increasing sanctions on Russia, and other way they are
absolutely also yes.
In the past.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Bharadwaj, for giving us all those analyses. Thank you for joining us and helping us unpack what could be the pivotal moment in global diplomacy right now. We'll, of course, be tracking any follow-up developments from the Xi-Trump talks in Busan, including possible statements in the days ahead.